Well, this is awkward. A little birdie told me that Hornby were going to do a new TT range launch this week, and so I thought, great, that's going to be loads of new locomotives, loads of new rolling stock. I'll set aside a video slot and we can go over all of this. And the announcement came along, and unfortunately they announced precious little. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to waste a few more seconds just to bump up the video time a bit. Okay, well, to be fair, there are a few things worth talking about. It is quite disappointing on the locomotive front, but there is some new rolling stock that's worth talking about. There are one or two things worth mentioning in terms of locomotives though. First of all, the BR Class 50 is coming back with two different variations. This is Barham in BR Blue, which looks quite nice I think, and also Arc Royal in Network Southeast livery, which I believe people have been asking for, so nice to see that. Not much else to say on the Class 50, I don't think, except for the fact that the price doesn't seem to have gone up since the Class 50 was first released about a year ago. So the price is still £167.99, which, you know, is what it is, but at least it hasn't gone up. It's nice to see a locomotive price stay the same over a year. And of course, if you want to get it cheaper at the retailers, you can do, where the normal discounts are applied. One of Hornby's first TT locomotives is also coming back in the shape of the A4 Sir Nigel Gresley, and again this seems to have the same price as the last lot of A4s, £179.99. And it seems as though there's nothing much else to say about this loco. It's the same A4 that we've seen before, but I noticed in the video a little detail which others might have missed. And that was that Mike mentioned that these locomotives have a coreless motor, which in the TTA4 that I reviewed was not the case. This had a 3-pole motor, and sure enough, listings for earlier TTA4s do list just a 3-pole motor on the specs. Now, did Mike just misspeak here? Well, I don't think so, because on the listing for this new Sir Nigel Gresley locomotive, coreless motor is there on the spec. So I would take that to mean that the TTA4 has been upgraded. And that begs the question, is it just the motor that's changed, or are there other upgrades? So yeah, that has made me curious. There's not a lot of other information on that besides what I've already told you, but like I say, Hornby's launch video and the listing both mention that a coreless motor is fitted to these locos now, which is great. I think a coreless motor is going to improve the slow speed performance of the A4, and hopefully if there are other upgrades, then other performance issues might be improved too. I know some people have had derailment issues with the A4, so there are signs that Hornby have addressed the A4 and made some changes to it. Maybe I'll have to get one and see what those changes are. So yeah, two new locomotives coming back, not new, but possibly, in the case of the A4, upgraded in some way. Right, let's talk about rolling stock then, because there are some new toolings here. First of all, we have a new hopper wagon, which looks similar to the existing HAA hopper, which has already been released, and I reviewed that. But as you can see, this is the CDA hopper, which may be based on some of the existing tooling, but it does seem to be a different tooling on the whole. There are variations between this and the existing HAA that we've already seen. So this is going to be quite good for the Class 50s, at least the later ones, I guess, and also the Class 66s. Great to see some more rolling stock coming along for these locomotives. So the price for this new hopper is £27.99 each, that's the RRP. Obviously they're a bit cheaper at the retailers. Or you can get a pack of 3 for £80.99, which per wagon works out at about £1 cheaper, which is not a lot obviously, but it's better than a kick in the teeth, isn't it? From what I can tell as well, the 3 wagons in the 3-pack all have different numbers from the wagon that's available singularly. So that means there are 4 different numbers available for these hoppers. So you've got a fair bit of variety there, really, given that this is the first batch of these new hoppers. The next piece of new tooled rolling stock is this. It is the Coalfish Ballast Wagon, which, yeah, I don't think we've seen before. This appears to be new tooled. And it's a similar kind of situation. Same price, £27.99 for the single wagon, or you can get a pack of 3 for £80.99. I can't see the numbers this time, but hopefully all 4 announced wagons will be different once again, allowing you to create at least a fair bit of variety in your wagon rakes. Up next then we have the BR 21-ton mineral wagon, which we have seen before, of course, but it's back now in a new livery, this time in the BR brown. So again, it's a similar situation. You can buy one by itself, which I think is nice to see with all of these wagons, by the way. Nice that you haven't got to buy 3 if you don't want to buy 3. So the price for that is a little bit more reasonable, £22.99 this time, or £67.99 for the pack of 3, which works out at £22.66 each. So not much of a saving really for buying the 3-pack, talking about 30 pence or so, but again, it's better than a slap across the face, isn't it? And again, a bit more variety in these wagons is really lovely to see. I'm almost tempted to try and make up a rake of these. They will look quite nice in this livery, I reckon. Then we have the 7-plank wagon. Again, this seems to be the same tooling that we've seen before, one of the first wagons Hornby released in TT, but now it is back in quite a few different liveries. So first of all, we've got this new livery, the GT Parker & Sons, nice dark livery this, quite fancy looking. And there's something a little bit weird about this. Now it might be nothing, but in Hornby's launch video, they said this.
This TT 120 7-plank wagon in black livery, finished with white lettering and red drop shadow, GT Parker & Sons is carrying the number 19. Pairing with a small steam locomotive such as a Ginty or Peco will create an authentic scene for this wagon's time period.
Did you catch that? Mike mentioned coupling these to a Ginty or a Peco, and neither of those locomotives are available, nor have they been announced in TT scale. So did they just make a mistake there? Did they list off some models in 00 and not TT by mistake? Or is that a hint? Might we see a Peco or a Ginty announced in TT at some point in the future? I think both would make a lot of sense. The Peco will be very interesting to see because that's a tiny engine. In TT, that's going to be very small. Difficult to engineer, but very popular in 00 scale. And it would mean that for the first time an industrial locomotive would have been made available in TT, which I think a lot of people would love. Second of all, the Ginty, that would be an LMS tank engine, which I don't think we've had yet. Obviously very numerous, obviously one of the most famous LMS tank engines as well. I would be very surprised if we didn't see a Ginty in TT scale over the next few years. Again, whether this is an announcement we're about to see coming very soon, I don't know. Again, this could be nothing. But these locomotives were mentioned in Hornby's new TT launch video, and I thought I might as well just draw attention to it. Anyway, in terms of the rest of the 7-plank wagons, there is this one, T Burnett, which I think looks really lovely with the red ironwork there. It's quite a striking livery, that one, isn't it? And then, as with some of the other wagons we've seen today, there's also a 3-pack available, this time each of them in different liveries. So all different colours. We've got the Frost, Low and Warwick and Shirebrook wagons, and individually they are £23.99, and the 3-pack is £69.99, which saves you 60p per wagon approximately, making them £23.33 each. So we've got 5 new 7-plank wagons now, which in addition to the previous 7-plankers we've already seen, means that there's quite a lot of choice now when it comes to Hornby 7-plank wagons in TT. You can build now a very nice and varied train, which is great. So lots of wagons. Finally, we have the BR Vent Van, which is coming back, this time in the Cadbury livery, at least as a standalone model. Again, we've seen this tooling before though, of course, £27.99 for that. And the final triple pack of the day is this one, with each of the vans in the BR Brown, which costs £81.99. So again, only a small saving this time round, but again, better than nothing. So quite a lot of new rolling stock, couple of new tooled bits by the looks of it, and it's also nice to see existing models coming back with some new liveries, new colours, new numbers or whatever, just so that people can add to their rakes. So disappointing in terms of locomotives, kind of, unless the A4 improvements are major, in which case it's quite interesting, but quite impressive in terms of rolling stock. But that is not all. Hornby have announced that they are going to be producing some TT buildings now. Now, these are not on their website. If you search for the product codes on hornby.com, they don't come up. But on their launch video, they did show what was going to be produced, and there are product codes for these as well. So they're going to be producing a station, a water tower, an engine shed, a goods shed, a signal box, a waiting room, a diesel maintenance depot, which I'm curious to see, a plate layers hut, a concrete plate layers hut for plate layers wanting to reenact the Three Little Piggies, an extended station platform, and a coal stage. Also in the video, they showed photos of these products. I don't know whether these are actually of the TT products or whether these are placeholders and they've used 00 models instead just to show roughly what these will look like. But this, I think, is all we have from Hornby at the moment. Presumably more on this to come soon. So that's all of the Hornby announcements for now, but there is a bit of news on Peco. Now, I can't find much information on these new announcements by Peco, but Rails of Sheffield, both on their website and through an email sent out to customers, have been talking about Peco's plans for some apparently new TT rolling stock. So very quickly, these would be the BR 16-ton mineral wagon in both grey and brown liveries. No details, no prices on these at the moment, but they are there on the website, so worth a mention. And they've also been talking about some LMS and BR vent vans, again in a small variety of different liveries, including this Burton Bass livery, which is an interesting choice. Same situation, no prices announced at the moment, but as far as we know, these models are coming. So there you have it, that is the latest TT news. Yeah, maybe not quite as much as I was expecting to be able to talk about today, but of course this is all in addition to what's already been announced. So yes, while this might have been a bit disappointing on the Loco front, we have still got the J50, which hopefully won't be long, and the Terrier to look forward to. And again, that one is going to be quite something. So yeah, TT goes on, doesn't it? There's still new work being done in TT. Hornby have not given up on it. They still seem to be pressing forwards with it. And hey, they're announcing more in TT than they are in 00 at the moment. So I guess we should be glad of any announcements we can see. But anyway, that's just about it. Please do comment down below. Let me know what you think about these announcements. What were you hoping to see? Did you get what you were hoping to see? And what do you think about the hints potentially dropped about a Ginty or a Peckett? Please do keep those fingers crossed. We may have some news on that soon. For now though, thanks ever so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, folks.